Hey YouTube, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles, and today we are going to cover something I think is a really interesting topic. And this is kind of hitting on a lot of questions we get all the time, whether in person or online, about I'm trying to breed, and my snakes are doing this. So we're going to talk about what to expect when you breed ball pythons, like what you're going to see, how some things are going to look, kind of how the process goes, and what your expectations should be. So we're going to put some of those fears that people ask us about to rest, or put them down a little, make them a little easier for you, hopefully, and just kind of share some basic knowledge with you on that. We'll slide over to Patreon when we're done, of course. We'll probably get a little more detailed on a few things and expand on a few things, and maybe share some of what confused us, or some things that we still see that we find confusing, and what we've learned on some of the, I guess you call them the pro tips as you go down, or your almost pro tips, whatever the hell we want to call it. I don't know. And what our expectations are with what changes we've made this year to combat some of the issues we've had. Because new facility equals new issues almost every time. All right, so let's get started. First of all, when you breed, the first thing you're going to do is put what? A boy to a girl. Actually, what we'll do on page, we'll talk about issues we've learned as we expand. That's probably a better topic because that's one I've already hit before. So issues that we learn, we'll expand how we've dealt with that. That's a little smarter topic. So when you put your boys to your girls, you're going to see a few things. A couple things you might realize, especially if you didn't sex your own snakes, or even if you did, is you may have this guy here, and you may stick him to this girl over here, and then all of a sudden, and if it's your first time pairing a female, I strongly recommend, if you've never paired her before and you put a male in there, hang out in your reptile room afterwards for at least 5 or 10 minutes. Don't drop and run. Spend a little time, sit, play on your phone, whatever, clean poops, do something, change waters elsewhere, and listen. Because sometimes you're going to hear this god-awful thumping around. It just don't sound real good. If you hear that, and I've had people go, I did this and I don't know what's going on, double check the sex of your female. What you might have is a female that's a male. That's happened to us before. It's happened to a lot of other people. You know, we learned our lesson. We double check all of our stuff now when it comes from the outside. I've never personally had one that I sexed and said was a female, kept and found out I was wrong. Doesn't mean I've never been wrong. I'm not saying that. But just double check your stuff. So that's the first thing to do. When you pair them up, spend 5 or 10 minutes and listen, because you want to hear if there's anything going south. The next thing you're going to see is you may see them and be like, well, my snakes didn't lock. I'm not seeing my snakes lock. Okay, I pair them. I kind of check them every day afterwards to see if they're locked. Sometimes I'll have an animal I never see a lock on, never see it, and she still gets pregnant. You've got some two-pump chumps every now and then in your males. Man, they're going to get the job done. You know, they're not going to be a long-term thing. And it's going to happen. So you won't always see the lock. There's some behavior to look for that will help you see that. Are they cuddling? If I've got a male over here and a female over here not showing a lot of interest, it's probably not going to be a good pairing. Give it time. Pheromones got to work. It may be the wrong time for the male or the female. She may not be receptive yet. She'll get there. Give it a little bit of time, I promise. So then as we're doing that, you know, if I see that they're cuddling or snuggling, that can often be a good sign. The other thing we hear a lot, and I'll show you an example of it, is something about this. People saying, well, Matt, I paired my snakes, and my cameraman fell over. Actually, if you guys didn't see it, Kurt just tripped, almost bit ass. Somehow he kept the camera pretty level. We had to go to 2 feet and a hand on the ground, so dude's more athletic than we give him credit for. They'll say, my snakes have been locked up for days. Looks a little something like this. So what are we looking at here? You have Apollo. I'm going to go ahead and while I'm in there, give you guys some fresh water if I don't scare you too much. With a Bell female. She's never produced before. So I decided to use a male who is probably one of my best breeders. He'd breed a rope, so to speak. And they have now been locked up literally for several days. I probably put them together on, I would say it was probably fed on Thursday. It was either Saturday or Sunday I paired them up. He was locked by the next day when I checked. He's still locked. This guy has been locked to this female for well over 24 hours. You know what? Not a concern. It's going to be fine. They'll lock for, I've read anywhere from up to 48. I've personally had longer than 48, and I've never had any issue or damage. Let them finish. I want you to think about, if you're old enough to think about this, if you've ever been there and somebody didn't let you finish. Pisses you right off, right? Let them finish. Don't freak out that they're locked up that long. No damage is going to occur from that 99.99% of the time. Can a male damage hemipene? Sure. Usually when you get a damaged hemipene, guess what you did? You didn't listen. You had two males, and one of them ended up sticking it in the other one, and they're not made for that. And it will damage a hemipene then sometimes. Here, very unlikely damage can happen. Not saying it won't. It can, but it's unlikely. Another thing you're going to run into, and you kind of saw it in there a little bit, it's not horrible, but your tubs are going to be kind of disgusting. We had a few flies die. We get a lot of botflies here. So that's why we changed the water out really quick. There'll be poop, there'll be skin, there'll be all kinds of things. Don't worry about that. And don't go through when you're pairing. Like if I pair and I put a male into a female and I check them the next day and they're locked and it's dirty, I just close it up. I'll leave it dirty. I will clean it when I pull the male out and spot clean, or when I go through a spot clean later when there's no male in there. That male is going to change female, so I have another time to do that. They will often make it messy before they breed. They use that to scent, they use that to smell. It's not uncommon when you're new at this. You're going to see where the female will have literally urate spread down her back because the male's tail wagging trying to get her attention and shits on her. Like, it happens, guys. Not the cleanest, most nice thing. Not how I pick up chicks, okay? I don't go into the bar when I was a single guy and find a girl I like, shake my butt and crap on her. I think you'll get arrested. So don't try that. Well, unless you're into that right kind of bar, I guess. But if you go to one of those places, don't tell me where it is. I don't want to know. I don't want to have that conversation. But don't worry if it gets a little dirty in there. Now, I'm not saying don't clean your stuff, but when they're breeding, they're messy. Let them be a little messy. It's going to help to spur the process of pheromones. Snakes only have two holes, a mouth and a butt. Okay, I guess, yes, there's nostrils and heat pits. But for the main part, there's a mouth, there's a butt, right? A cloaca, if we want to be very technical. Everything's going to function from those two holes. The mouth only does two things. It eats, well, three, eats, breathes, and regurges. You're not needing that for any of this part. So the cloaca is going to use pheromones. It's also going to have everything come through there. What's going to be paired together when they're breeding. So it's going to get messy. That's fine. A little funk in the air for them is a good thing. That's kind of what to expect on breeding. Now, what's going to happen post-breeding? Well, let me show you this girl here. Again, I just pulled the male out of here, so it could be a little messy in here. I don't remember if it is or not. Yep, so I'm talking about there. So I want you to look here, and I'll hold her up for you in a minute. I went ahead and paired them one more time. I really didn't need to, probably, but, you know, this is the only one that's together. See how thick the snake is through here? So we've noticed her for a while. She's been building, and we're getting into full ovulation now. I'll show her too. She also, you're going to say the snake looks very dark, but she actually looks very light for herself. She's a very, very dark snake. So you look at that there, and you can see how thick she is. That's not really her middle, okay? That is more the back third. I mean, here's a tail, and you can just see it looks like there's a football in there. Like she went and ate a rabbit or something that she shouldn't be eating. You can also see very evident this crease in here in the tail that you'll hear called like tail suck a lot. Also a very good sign. So this snake is going to have eggs, y'all. That's what this is going. I don't need to breed her anymore. What'll happen pretty soon is that full-blown swelling. You'll kind of see it start, and it'll go, bleh. When it gets full-blown and swollen like that, that's ovulation. She's most likely going to have eggs. If she doesn't, you're likely going to run into a problem. So I'm feeling really good about that. She'll probably be our first female to lay eggs this year. So when you see that, thumbs up. That's what you're looking for. It'll be very, very evident, I promise. I mean, people go, I think I saw ovulation. You didn't. If you think you saw it, you didn't, okay? I just want to reiterate, if you think you saw it, you didn't. I don't know how many people over the years have been like, oh, I think my snake, I think I saw it, I think I saw it. So, hey, keep looking. Keep looking. A month later, they may be like, oh my God, that snake ovulated. I saw it. Yeah, you did now. Now you got it. So it's going to happen, just like, keep an eye on it. It can be missed. If you don't check your snakes every day, like if I leave for a week and travel, and somebody else is looking at my animals who's not used to seeing them every day, or they're just kind of checking the waters and going through, they're not really looking at them, it's very, very easy to miss an ovulation. It doesn't always last that long. So then there'll be other things that you're going to see along the process that'll help get you there. What do I expect now that we've ovulated? Well, I guess I can open this girl back up. She's probably like, what the hell, dude? So now that we've ovulated, or we're in the process of it, see how thick she is back there, I expect that she will go from hanging out a lot over here, wrapping around a lot in the water dish. You can see when they're breathing, I have to clean all that now. She'll go to the warm area. She's going to go into shed. She's going to shed her skin, right? and then she's going to go and set on the warm area. Once I see that shed, I can set a clock for about 30 days and I should have eggs. She'll usually push all the dirt out the way. It's one of the reasons why I like substrate over paper towels. Again, no right or wrong, you can keep either one. But the substrate, I will see them dig into it and really do some actual nest building, which I think is really cool to see. So when I start to see that, I know we're gonna be gold. She'll set there, she'll pass her eggs, we steal them, we incubate, wash, rinse, repeat, right? So that's the next thing we're looking for. Of course, after that, the trick is getting them back on food. When you get here, okay, we've now ovulated, usually a few weeks before this, and we'll check hers. She'll be a pretty good one. And I know, somebody's going to tell me, man, why don't you use an app? Well, I'll tell you why I don't use an app, because I'm not a big fan of them. I can grab this on the fly. I'm not digging in my phone. I can see all the data at once. I want to keep on these. So we'll look here. So this is her feed sheet. And we've been using, she went smalls and mice for a while, but she's was breeding here. She hadn't eaten in 2 weeks. She probably won't eat again. We had to go smaller food for a while because she was eating good food, and she kind of slowed down, and then, got another small one her, and then she'll eat pretty good. Partly why you're seeing mice is, I'll be honest, we just kind of ran out of rats for a while, so we used mice for a lot of people for a hot minute there. But they will typically, when you get to that point, stop eating. Not a problem. That snake is not going to eat for me, most likely until she lays eggs. When she lays eggs, we've shown that before. I don't have it just laid. She'll look like death warmed over. She'll be very, very thin. She's going to expel a lot of her body weight doing that. And then we need to get her back on food. What I try to do then, I pull them from the eggs. Week 1, I typically offer them a rat. If they don't take the rat, especially if it's just a few days after laying, no worries, I'll just do it next week. But if I go, maybe say 14 to 20 days, I can't get them onto a rat, then we'll go to a mouse or an African soft fur. And that'll usually get them spurred into starting to eat. Once we get the first meal in them, some of them also will wait until they shed again before they really get interested in food. Even though we clean the tub up, I think it's something with that skin. Once we get them back on food, we want to get them on rats, especially then, to get that body condition back up. You can see her body condition is nice and big and thick, even where she's not ovulating. That's what you want for a breeder. You don't want your breeder female to be a skinny looking like a male. It's not going to work so well. That's a condition you're after. If they don't get back to condition for whatever reason, which will happen on occasion, don't breed them. Give them a year off. I have snakes I've had to do that with. They'll go great for 3 years. Then they struggle getting back on food really well. It comes around, they're just not looking ready. We hold them back for a year, and then we put them back in the program afterwards. So that's kind of one of those things too. Kurt, any questions about what to expect when you pair snakes? I know I went through that really fast.
I don't think so.
Kurt says he doesn't think so. So just a quick 30-second review. Males to females, listen to make sure they're both actually a male and a female, not two males. You don't want two male, bad. They'll fight. If you don't hear it, you can cause injury. After that, if you don't see a lock, don't freak out. Keep pairing, keep doing it on your schedule, however you're going to set your schedule up. You're always going to hope to see a lock. It's good news. If you see a lock, don't worry how long it lasts. Okay, it could last 5 minutes. It could last 2 days. Either one is okay. Either one can get the job done. So don't freak out about the lock not lasting long enough or lasting too long. It'll just let it be, right? Let it be. So there's that. Then start to look for signs of ovulation. And here's the other thing I always get, guys. I should have put this in there. Your snake locks this week. So then people are like, well, how long? My snake locked. How long before it may ovulate? Well, your snake is locked, so it could ovulate, probably in 30 days, 13 months, 24 months. They do not work like mammals, so they can retain that sperm and ovulate when they want, when they feel the conditions are right and the body's right and everything else. So there is no set, I saw the lock, I expect ovulation to stay. Does not work like that. But obviously you have to have locks to start getting ovulations. For us, I typically start seeing ovulations around April. We are in, at the time of this filming, late January. And there we go. So we're a little earlier than usual this year. I think I know why that's happening. I've got some others building. I think we're going to stretch our season out a little bit, which is actually going to be really nice. And there's reason for that, I think, in how we set room conditions this year and made some alterations as we learn as we go. But don't freak out about when is it going to happen. It'll just happen. Just let it happen. It's really hard your first few times to take a chill pill and relax. And I'd like to tell you it gets easier, but it really doesn't. I'll still sit here at some point in this year. I'll sit right in my chair over there, and I'll look at all these females. I'll be taking stock of who I know is going to go and who's gone. I'll start to wonder, is my season going to work out? Am I going to have enough? Why isn't this ovulating? Just, it always works out. Chill out. And I have to tell myself that too. So just chillax. To quote a quarterback for a team I hate, and I hope he leaves and I hope he retires, and no, it's not Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers should retire. Chillax. Just chillax. It's going to be fine. So there's that. And then look for ovulation. Look for nesting. When you see that ovulation, if your incubator ain't on, turn the damn thing on and get shit ready, because it's going to happen. You're going to have eggs about 45 days. Don't turn your incubator on the day you have eggs. Okay? You want to turn it on, make sure it's dialed in, make sure it's working, make sure it's set up. Let it run for a while, make sure it's good. Yeah, it's going to use a little electrical, but that's way better than having it fail and blow up a set of eggs for you, or not hold temps and script a set of eggs. Find out things are working okay early. So you see that first ovulation, you should be kicking that incubator on. All right, and that's kind of it.
I do have.
Kurt thought of a question. What is it, Kurt?
So you mentioned that females can go off feed breeding.
Yes.
About males.
That's a really good question. So yes, males can certainly go off food when it comes to breeding, and you need to monitor your males. I've got some males that are massive, they're old, I don't really worry about them, they know what they're doing, and you know, they're going to pick it back up. I've got other males who are newer, younger, smaller males. I really keep a close eye on those. And like, there's two right now who are two that I really want to breed very, very well, but I can tell you, if they don't eat this week, they don't get to breed this week. They'll rotate out, take a break. So you need to monitor your male's weight. They get so interested in breeding females, right, that they don't really concentrate on anything else. And then they get so focused there, they're not paying much attention to food. A few things you can do to combat that. One, smaller meals. Works so much to get animals on feed that aren't on feed. African soft furs, if you can get a hold of them, are great for that. Two, make sure their tub is nice and clean. Even if it looks clean, just do a full clean. Sometimes that'll spur them back to eat, move them around in the rack. I've long thought, although I haven't done it yet myself, of putting just one small rack somewhere else, away from this room. And if I have a male that's really struggling on that, moving him to that rack for a little while so he's not around all these girls. This is like dropping a 15-year-old off in a high school female locker room. It's a bad idea. He's only going to pay attention to one thing, and it's going to get him in trouble. So, you know, if you can remember being a 15-year-old boy. So move those males out there, or try to calm them down, get all the pheromones out of there, change the litter, change their cage, give them a few weeks off, get them back on food. The last male I rotated out, and this is kind of a rule of thumb for me, I won't let them back into the breeding program until they eat twice in a row for me. Once I get 2 meals in a row in them, then I'm just like, okay, you can come back and we can try to breed you as long as you keep eating. I'll breed him, I put him to breed this week. If he doesn't eat, then I'll rotate him back out. So he may not hit his females as often, and that may actually cost me a few clutches. Okay? It might. I would rather lose that clutch this year and have that male be successful long term than breed that male to death and then, you know, because I do care about my animals. For me, it's not about how much money can I make this week and here, look how much money I made and showing off. I don't care about that shit. Not important to me. My animals actually rank a lot higher. I have to make money to support my animals. That's how it works. Anything else, Kurt?
Nope.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. We're going to slide over to Patreon and talk about, as you grow, some of the ways that we use to track what a lot of the stuff you see written on means, some of the alterations we made this year. So make sure and check that out as well. Click like, click subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.